think so far on my channel I've only done one other dessert. I have a recipe for how to make a panna cotta that I did a few years ago. And I thought it might be fun to do another dessert. Now, when I was in Las Vegas a few years ago, I had the opportunity to go to Hell's Kitchen, one of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants. And of course we got the Beef Wellington because that's what he's famous for, right? And it was good. But the thing that really blew me away was the dessert. They had on their menu there a Sticky Toffee Pudding. So that's what we're going to do today. What's interesting about this, and some of you have probably done this before, is that it uses dates. So we're going to be cooking with dates. If you haven't tried dates before, these are medjool dates. There's a almost caramel note to a good date. So good. So what we have here, I've got a cup of dates basically that I've pitted and chopped up. So if you're doing it by weight, it's going to be around 225 grams. I have some demerara sugar. You could use turbinado, like sugar in the raw. Probably is going to work better for you than just a plain white sugar. If you're doing that by weight, it's going to be about 80 grams is what I have here. Then I have some brown sugar. Normally you would use a dark brown sugar, but I'm not. There's a way around that. So I have a little over a third of a cup of brown sugar. It's about 70 grams. To make up for it being light brown instead of dark brown, I'm just going to add a tablespoon of molasses, because that's really all dark brown sugar is just additional molasses. It's basically a tablespoon per cup. So I'm going a little heavy. I've got then a teaspoon of baking powder, and then about a half teaspoon of salt, and I have 2 eggs. So these are the ingredients for the pudding itself, which is cake. And then we'll get into the ingredients for the toffee part of it a little bit later.
Alright, so we're going to start by pitting and chopping up about a cup of dates. These are medjool dates. You can actually get these at Aldi. And this is going to be about 225 grams worth of pitted dates that I'm going to chop up here. Now that I have my chopped up dates added to the bowl, I'm going to cover them in about a cup of boiling water. I just boiled that in my kettle. Want to make sure to submerge those as much as I can because I want these soft for when they go into the food processor. After about 10 minutes, I'm going to drain the dates, but I do want to retain some of the liquid because I need about a quarter cup of that steeping liquid for the cake itself. So it's time to start adding our ingredients to the food processor. I'm going to start off with my cold butter. That's 3 tablespoons of cold butter. Then we're going to add our baking soda and salt. Then we have our demerara sugar. Of course, you could use turbinado, and our brown sugar. And we're going to add our eggs, our molasses, and a little bit of vanilla. And then we're going to just pulse that a little bit so that it comes together. I like to do that before I throw in the flour. I don't want the flour to develop too much gluten so that the cake doesn't get too tough. Then I'm going to go ahead and pulse this a few times just to bring that together before I add in the dates. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and add the dates. They're nice and softened from being in the hot water. And I'm also going to add that quarter cup of the steeping liquid that the dates were in. And then we're just going to pulse that a few times until it's combined. I don't want to go crazy with this. I actually still want to see some specks of the date in the batter. And once I've pulsed that 3 or 4 times, it's done. Now that my batter's ready, I can add these to some prepared, I'm using some tin foil or aluminum foil, I should say ramekins that I've sprayed with some cooking spray. You could use regular ceramic ones. You could put this into a cake pan. I've used a bundt cake in the past. It's really up to you how you want to do it. But once you've got your pan full, you're going to go ahead and add that to a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. Then we're going to go on and make the sauce. So to start with, I'm going to throw 5 tablespoons of butter into a pot, and then I'm going to follow that with my 6 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm going to let that dissolve a little bit, and then once that's actually dissolved, we're going to slowly start to pour in about 1 cup of heavy cream. Once this is at a slow simmer, you see some bubbles forming around the outside and maybe a few in the middle, you're done. You can go ahead and turn that off and set it to the side. Now, you're going to test your cakes, your puddings, just by inserting a toothpick into the middle. If it comes out clean, you're done. After I've pulled them out, while they're still nice and hot, I'm just going to spoon a little bit of this sauce onto the tops of my puddings. Now we're ready to serve. I'm going to throw a little bit of the sauce down in the plate or bowl. We're going to use a knife just to loosen around the edges of the ramekin, and then it'll make it easier for the pudding to slide right out of its container. A little bit of the sauce on top. And then we're going to have a little bit of vanilla ice cream to go with this as well. This is just a good Tillamook vanilla ice cream. And then we'll pour a little bit of the sauce over the top of that as well.
Now, at Hell's Kitchen, they serve this with speculoos ice cream, which is that cookie butter. You've seen Biscoff cookies. They make cookie butter out of that. You can get at like Trader Joe's and things like that. I actually found a recipe to make some ice cream, but I didn't feel like making ice cream today. This was plenty enough. So here we've got our sticky toffee pudding with a little bit of the sauce and a little bit of vanilla ice cream. Let's give it a taste, shall we? You can see cake's nice and soft. That's fantastic. The other nice thing, you can, rather than making them in individual ramekins or things like that, you can also just put it in a, I've made it in a bundt cake before, and then just slice pieces off. The sauce, this kind of caramel toffee sort of sauce, will thicken up in the fridge. But then it's really nice just to put on ice cream, or I've put it in coffee when I wanted some sort of a dessert coffee. Normally is not my thing, but it does taste very good. So with all of that, go ahead and try yourself some sticky toffee pudding sometime. Once again, thanks for watching.